Hi, it's Athena, and welcome back to the channel. So, more in the ongoing Me Too series, and I promise I will try today to not make this a rant. I will do my best. However, yesterday I heard some commentary and a discussion on Me Too that I personally found deeply disturbing, as both a professional woman who has been through multiple incidences of workplace sexual harassment, and as somebody who has studied this issue both from the professional and the psychological standpoint. The idea that evolutionary biology and evolutionary psychology somehow can be used to explain/excuse what goes on in sexual harassment is flat out ridiculous and appalling. Absolutely appalling. I have heard multiple evolutionary, PhDs give this assessment that because these drives are biological in all of us, not just men, that somehow that excuses and gives reasoning for the absolutely appalling behavior that some of us have been through in the workplace. No, frankly, it doesn't. That's just flat out ridiculous. If we take that to its logical conclusion, that somehow evolutionary biology and psychology excuse, explain, give men a write-off, oh, the men just can't help it, men really can't do any better, sorry, it's in our genes, they just, we've evolved this way and men can't do better. Okay, if I'm going to take you up on that, let's really take that out as far as it goes. If that's for real, then men are absolutely unfit for leadership positions. So we, as a responsible society, and based on ethics and caring about morals and values, we have an obligation to make sure, based on that reasoning, that men are never ever in leadership positions. That's what it leads to. It's a logical conclusion. Now, I find that flat out ridiculous. So, we either have to tell the truth about the issue, or we have to completely functionally realign how we do everything, because men are truly not fit for leadership positions. If men are going to decide that evolution says that they get a hall pass on sexual harassment in the workplace, then we can't put them in leadership positions ever again because they're clearly not fit for it. Okay, I don't believe that for a second. I've talked a lot on this channel about really, top tier men and what they bring to society. If men are not fit to control their own urges, then, that says to me, okay, well, by that logic, I don't ever have to get up off the couch. I don't ever have to drop the remote out of my hand, and I can just eat sugar and nonsense all day and never exercise and never take care of my health, because it's the exact same logic. Our biological drives say that it's fine to poop in the middle of the living room floor because that's kind of what we want to do and what's convenient. Yeah. And it would be, perfectly, acceptable by our biological urges to never get educated, never build a shelter because it's, a lot of work and it's hard and you have to be disciplined to do those kind of things. If men are really going to follow this logic out, and if their female evolutionary biologist professor academic counterparts are going to use that reasoning to justify it, well, then everybody should just lay around and not work hard to get a degree. Nobody should ever pursue anything like getting a PhD, which takes work and discipline and behavior modification. Wow, well, I wonder what that might lead to. If men are capable of building things like the Roman aqueducts and coming up with, discoveries like heart valves that save people's lives, those same men are capable of the discipline it takes to control their behavior in the workplace. And frankly, I don't care what letters you have after your name, how dare you excuse men out of this behavior by saying that biological urges somehow make this, we're just going to have to put up with it. No, we're not. No, we're not. I have food allergies. I've had to learn not to eat those foods. It takes discipline not to do that. I'm somebody who has letters after my name. It took discipline to do that. Most people can manage to graduate high school. Takes some discipline to do that. If you can bother to get out of bed and show up at your job every morning, whether you want to or not, you have the discipline and the self-control to not sexually harass your coworkers. To say that somehow this biological argument makes this, well, I just don't know what we're going to do about this. I mean, wow, I managed to get a PhD, but I just can't come up with a solution. That is flat out ridiculous. Now, I get that people who are in academia get paid to use this kind of thinking and come up with ideas rather than solutions. If they got paid to come up with solutions, they'd be out in corporate America. They'd be entrepreneurs. They'd be putting that level of intellect toward solving problems, which is what this channel is about. So I'm going to call this one out. And my recommendation to any of you who see this video is please start saying this stuff to people when somebody tries to use the evolutionary tactic on you. If we can learn enough self-control to do things like design automobiles and refrigeration and use the marvel of engineering to get ourselves to the moon and Mars, we can figure out ways to stop sexually harassing our coworkers. What has to happen is the will. We have to have the will to do this. I offer that as a great solution. Let's come up with the will to not harass our coworkers. And if men want to keep claiming that they are somehow better suited for leadership and positions of power, then we have to hold them to accountable to stop acting like, like puppies that are just going to run around and pee on the floor. If you are on a corporate board, and I say this is the solution. Let's try this. I think this would be awesome to try out. Let's say for all corporate boards in America, if you are interested in making a profit and returning shareholder value and retaining top talent, for 1 year, put absolutely no men in leadership positions and do not promote any of them. And then assert that your company is going to have a zero tolerance policy about sexual harassment in the workplace. And your goal as a company is going to be to get your instances of sexual harassment down to 0. If companies who work in dangerous industries can get their, corporate-wide occurrence of employee injury down to 0, and it's possible because I know entrepreneurs and CEOs who have done it. There are many corporations who have taken on this idea of getting workplace safety so in integrity in their company that they get the instances of injury down to 0. If they can do that with uncontrollable falling objects and shit, then we can set up parameters that say workplace sexual harassment down to 0. And if it doesn't happen, absolutely no man in the company who's doing this gets a promotion and nobody gets bonuses. Because you know what? That would have people really get serious about solutions. We can deal with this problem if we have the will. It's men not having the will and wanting some kind of Band-Aid and some kind of buyout that has it continue to go on. So I say let's get serious about it. Let's really run that experiment and watch how fast men's behavior improves. So, I hope you take me on. I hope I managed to keep the rant out of it. And once again, thank you for coming to the channel. Thank you for asking questions and participating in this discussion.